Hey friends, it's Justin and welcome to the Pretty Pink Posh May Video Hop. Today, me and a handful of other creators are hopping along and celebrating the brand new Pretty Pink Posh release, so be sure to leave a comment below to enter for your chance to win a $20 gift certificate at each of the hop stops. Your next stop is Carly Minner. I have a super cute card to share with you with the most adorable little worm using the brand new May release, so let's get into how I put this card together. We are going to be using the Stitched Bugs die set, the Pierced Checkerboard die set, the Stitched Dandelion die set, and the Large Hello Shadow die set as well to be putting everything together to make this super cute card. We are going to start with that Pierced Checkerboard die set, and I've die cut it 3 times from a green cardstock, light blue cardstock, and a craft cardstock, and we're going to use this all for our scene building. Now, I'm holding in one of my favorite older die sets to use for scene building, and that's the grass border die. I am going to use this to sort of map out how high I want my grass to go on my green checkerboard die cut. Once I'm happy with the placement of the die, I am going to die cut it off camera, and then I'm also going to trim down that craft cardstock to be a little shorter than the grass because this is going to be our dirt ground area and it's just going to be some perfect layering. Now, of course, we got to do a little bit of ink blending, so we're going to start with that dirt using a little bit of Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink to blend from the bottom towards the top of our dirt craft cardstock layer. When I'm happy with the amount of Vintage Photo ink, we are going to move on to some ground espresso Distress Oxide ink to make the base of that dirt layer just a little bit darker. And once we're happy with that amount of ink, we are going to smush a little bit of ground espresso onto our glass mat, and I'm also going to spritz the panel with a little bit of water to get some bleach spots. I really like to do this when working with dirt areas to add a little bit of speckle and a little bit of splatter to it. So we're going to wet down that smushed ground espresso ink, pick it up with a clean watercolor brush, splatter it on top of our dirt craft layer that we've ink blended, and we've got some really fun texture that really adds to our scene building. Now for our grass, we're going to go in with some Mowed Lawn Distress Oxide ink. It's not too much darker than the cardstock itself, but it is going to provide a nice ombre, especially when layered with that dirt layer that we've prepared already. Now we've got to get that sky ready, so using some Mermaid Lagoon Distress Oxide ink, I am going to blend from the top edge down towards the middle of our panel of the light blue checkerboard die cut, and it's going to give a nice sky ombre with the darker blue being on top and the lighter blue on the horizon. Now with the Stitched Dandelion die set, we are going to build 2 dandelions that are going to help set our scene. And what we're going to do is from what we've die cut, we've got enough ready to build 2 dandelions and their leaves. We are going to use Mustard Seed Distress Oxide on the edges of each of the little dandelion layers and get those all ready. And I just love how that distressed edge looks on those little dandelion leaves. We also have to get these green leaves ready. I'm using some Lucky Clover Distress Oxide ink on some green cardstock we die cut the shapes from, along with those stems, and I'm just loving how this shading is turning out. Now we do, of course, have to get everything assembled with our dandelions, and the dandelions are really easy to put together. You put a little bit of glue in the center of the largest area, then pop on the middle sized of the dandelion, and then you do glue for the smallest layer as well. Putting the flower portion together is also pretty darn easy. You just gotta glue the little pieces together. I'm making those leaves come together like a little bit of a V, and then I'm using the 2 stems to make our dandelion sort of pop out, one on each side of our leaf pairing. I do have one of the dandelions just a little bit taller than the other one, and I think that this adds a nice interest when we're putting the card together. So I'm popping on the 2 heads of the dandelions, and that's gonna be ready for a little bit of scene building later on. Now, of course, this Stitch Bug die set really is the star of the show with the worm that's included as part of the set. So using a grapefruit color of cardstock and some worn lipstick distress ink, I am going to blend just a portion of the bottom edge of our little worm because we're not going to be using all of him for the project. I've also got a couple little ringworm portions, rings of the worm. That's probably the better way to put it. And we're going to use some abandoned coral ink on top of a coral cardstock, and I'm blending the edge that's going to be closest to the shaded part of the worm's body. We're just going to do too little of the rings for the worm, and then we will use liquid adhesive to get them nicely into place to sort of build our little friend. He is just turning out so darn cute. I'm so excited to get him onto our project. Now, one thing about the die is I do have to adhere the smiley face and the eyes, and I like to put the smile down first, and then I'll actually pull in the negative of the die to sort of map out exactly where those eyes are supposed to go. So I'm just going to put two little dots in the exposed holes, and then I will pull up this negative of the die cut, and now I know exactly the area that those two little eyes need to go. Of course, because we're using liquid adhesive, that's going to give us a little bit of extra time just to make sure that they're spaced out accordingly. With our smile and eyes in place, let's move on to our hello sentiment using the large hello shadow dies. I have die cut the word hello from white cardstock, and I've also die cut the shadow of the word hello in the same light blue that we used for the sky portion of our scene. Now, using liquid adhesive on the back of our word, I am going to put enough to nicely get a nice little layer of adhesive on the back of the word hello, and then I'm going to line it up onto our hello shadow die cut. I love the shadows that are provided with the Pretty Pink Posh word dies because they really make them pop. Now, we are going to pull in that gingerbread mug set, which is from a release of later in 2025, because we are going to use the mug top oval to cut out a little wormhole from the dirt layer of our project. And you can use any oval dies you may have on hand. I just thought that this gingerbread mug die set was the perfect shape for me. Now, as you can see, we die cut out that oval, and we can just sort of pop our little worm out accordingly. So I kind of want to map out where exactly they need to go. And once I'm happy with the placement of the worm, we're going to use just a little bit of liquid adhesive on the back of the worm to hold him nicely into place onto that dirt layer. And then I also want to add a little bit of a dark brown backing piece to give a darker feel to the inside of that little dirt wormhole that you're going to be able to see. So I've cut out a piece of brown cardstock. I'm going to press that down nicely into place, and then we are going to have that perfect little backing piece that covers up that little worm's hole. Now, we're going to add liquid adhesive to the back of our little panel and adhere it directly onto the grass portion of our scene, and it's really all starting to come nicely together. Next, what we're going to do is add a little bit of adhesive to our bottom of our dandelion plant, and then we are going to adhere it right to our grassy and dirt layer. Then we're going to flip it over, add liquid adhesive to the back, and adhere this whole unit to our die cut checkered panel of our sky. I did want our die cut sentiment to have a little bit of a pop to it, so we're going to add some 3mm foam strips to the back of our die cut and then pop it into place in the upper left hand portion of our card. Now, pulling in that everyday branches set that's part of this release, I'm going to die cut 2 leaves out from this die set and ink blend them with some Mowed Lawn Distress ink just to give them a little bit of color. There's a little bit of a blank area on the bottom left portion of our card, and I really thought that these leaves would do a fantastic job sort of filling in that space and giving our card a more natural scene building look. So I'm going to adhere them with liquid adhesive, and then I'm going to place my card with some liquid adhesive on the back of it onto an A2 sized card base that I've prepared off camera. Once my card is all positioned, we're going to do our last step of adding just a couple sequins onto our card. I'm using a clear iridescent sequin for a little bit of extra sparkle and shimmer, and once I have my sequins in place, my card is fully completed. My goodness, this little worm is just too darn cute, and I think that this might be one of the cutest greeting cards ever. Now, don't forget, the fun doesn't have to stop here. We do have an entire May release YouTube hop going on, so make sure to hop around and give each of today's creators a lot of love, and be sure to comment on each post for a chance to win a $20 Pretty Pink Posh gift certificate. And of course, for more crafty inspiration, be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so very much for stopping by today, and happy crafting. Goodbye.